Single parenting can feel like a solo journey, but it doesn't have to be. Introducing MomFlex app, the ultimate village web app designed just for you. From financial support to community connections, MomFlex app offers a lifeline, helping you navigate parenting with confidence. Find trusted resources, build your support network, and thrive, because every parent deserves a village. Join the movement today. Visit momflex.org to install the app and take the first step toward a stronger, more supported you.
Every day's a battle, every step a climb, but we're standing tall, we're building our lives. Through the sleepless nights and the endless fight, we rise, we shine, we hold on tight. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. Stories of triumph, stories of grace. Single parents with dreams to chase. They said we'd break, they said we'd fall, but look at us now, we're standing tall. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. We push through the stigma, defy every step. They don't define us, and that's a fact. A village of love, a future so bright. Hand in hand, we own our life. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive.
Welcome back to Beyond the Struggle, Rise and Thrive. I'm your host, La Fortune, and you have just stepped into a space that's not afraid to go where most conversation stop short. Here, we talk truth unfiltered, especially when it comes to the realities of single parenting, holding it all together and still somehow finding the strength to rise in the thick of it. Let me start with a story. It's not extraordinary in the news headline sense, but it's kind of story that happens behind closed doors every single day. Ruth is a single mother. She's working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on and food on the table. Her body aches from long hours. Her mind is racing with bills and deadlines. But she shows up every day. She walks through the doors, exhausted, ready to trade her work hat for her mom hat when she sees the notice. Her teenage son has been skipping school, failing classes. Her heart sinks, not because she's angry, but because she is worried, afraid for his future. She speaks firmly, not screaming, but steady. She tells him she's disappointed to receive such a notice about him, that this isn't okay. She lays down consequences. No phone, no games, extra chores. This is how we fix this, she says. And then he says, and he says it, you are being emotionally abusive. She stands there frozen. That one sentence hits her harder than all long shifts combined. Later that night, she's alone on the couch, staring into the dark, wondering, am I being emotionally abusive? And that right there, my friends, is the silent war so many single parents are fighting. Somewhere along the way, parenting turned into walking on eggshells. Discipline is called abuse. Boundaries are labeled toxic. Authority gets mistaken for aggression. And let me be clear. Yes, there is real abuse out there, and it needs to be named and stopped. But there is also this growing gray area where exhausted, well-meaning parents are made to feel like criminals for simply trying to raise responsible human beings. Today's episode is titled Discipline or Abuse: Reclaiming the Line When Parenting Feels Like a Crime, the Single Parent's Struggle. So if you are a parent who's ever second-guessed yourself, if you have laid awake wondering if your discipline was too much or if your love was enough, if you have ever felt judged, misunderstood, or flat out alone in this parenting journey, especially without a partner to back you up, then this episode is for you. So as our usual little thing, my friends, grab your coffee, tea, or whatever gives you comfort, settle in. Let's talk about what it means to parent with love, to set boundaries with intention, and to reclaim your confidence in a world that's quick to criticize but slow to understand. Because you are not crazy. You are not toxic. You are doing the hard work, and you deserve space to be human while doing it. Let's get into it, shall we? First, let's talk about what real abuse actually is. Abuse, true abuse, is physical violence, verbal degradation, emotional manipulation, or neglect that leaves a child feeling unsafe, unloved, and unseen. It is not discipline. It's not holding a boundary. And it's definitely not saying, go clean your room. But in today's world, especially online, there is this trend of labeling every uncomfortable moment as trauma. Kids are learning from TikTok therapists and Instagram reels that being told no is emotional abuse, that chores are controlling, that accountability is toxic. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those platforms don't offer some real mental health gems, but I'm saying context matters, intent matters, and most importantly, language matters. So let's be clear on that. Trauma is not the same as discomfort. Feeling discipline isn't the same as feeling damage. Boundaries are not abuse. When we start using words like abuse too loosely, we dilute their meaning, and worse, we risk turning people who are genuinely trying their best, like you and me, into villains. Real abuse is serious. It deserves strong language, swift action, and zero tolerance. But when everyday parenting, like setting boundaries, saying no, or enforcing consequences, is mislabeled as manipulation or emotional abuse, we blur the lines between harm and healthy discipline, and that helps no one. So I have one listener who has a 14-year-old son that sent me a message and told me that her 14-year-old son called her manipulative because she grounded him for lying. She said, I felt like I was on a trial in my own home. That's not just tough. That's confusing. For parents, for kids, for everyone, because now basic discipline is seen as a form of moral failure. What happens when kids are taught that every form of authority is oppression, That being told no is trauma. we don't just lose respect for parents. We lose something deeper, emotional resilience. If everything uncomfortable feeling is a red flag, how do kids learn to regulate emotions, to handle conflicts, to take responsibility for their actions and choices without blaming someone else for how they feel? Yes, some parenting goes too far. Yes, some kids are truly mistreated. But the answer isn't to vilify discipline. It's to clarify the difference between control and care, between abuse and accountability, between harm and help. Because at the end of the day, good parenting isn't always comfortable. And being a teenager or a child, for that matter, isn't supposed to be easy. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from challenges, from boundaries and lessons learned the hard way. Respect, resilience, and real character are built when children are taught that these actions have consequences, not when they are shielded from accountability. I recently saw a video on Instagram that really drove this home for me. A young girl, maybe I would say around 8 or 9 years old, was sitting at a dinner table with her family. Out of nowhere, she hit her mother, then threw a cup of water at her parents. What shocked me just as much as her behavior was how the other adults at the table responded. They simply moved away, clearly afraid they might be next, which right there told me that it wasn't the first time. No one stepped in. No one corrected her. And I find myself saying, that couldn't be my child. That could not be my child. Because if that had been my child, discipline would have followed immediately. Not out of anger, but out of love. A love that understands boundaries are essential. A love that refuses to let disrespect become a habit. That kind of behavior doesn't come out of nowhere. It often grows in the soil of permissive parenting, where there are no consequences, no structure, and no accountability. And then we wonder why later on, when discipline is finally enforced, the child cries abuse. But what we don't talk about enough is the abuse that goes the other way around. When parents are manipulated, disrespected, even emotionally and physically harmed by children who were never taught limits. Children aren't meant to lead the home. Oh no. They are meant to be guided, corrected, and prepared for the real world. A world that absolutely will hold them accountable, whether they are ready or not. I always say to my children, what you are not learning from me, life will definitely teach you. Discipline isn't cruelty. It's protection. It's preparation. It's love in action.
Every day's a battle, every step a climb, but we're standing tall, we're building our lives.
Now, let's zoom in on single parents because the struggle is different when you are doing this alone. When you are the only parent in the house, you are the nurturer, the enforcer. You don't get to tag out when it's hard. You don't get to be the fun parent while someone else handles the tough stuff. You are working, you're budgeting, you're cooking, showing up to school meetings, wiping tears, setting limits, all on your own. And then you are told you are toxic. One mother I know, she's a nurse who works night shifts, was told by her daughter's school counselor that she needed to be more emotionally available. Her daughter, 16-year-old, had been skipping classes and said she felt neglected. The mom burst into tears. I'm trying to keep the lights on, she told me. I can't be in two places at once. La Fortune, what should I do? What do you do when your effort isn't just unappreciated, it's misunderstood. When the only person in your corner is you, every word hits harder, every accusation sinks deeper. That's the silent way of single parenting. You are always questioning, am I doing enough? Am I too hard, too soft, too tired, too everything? We are just exhausted parents. You are not toxic. You are tired, my friend. You're just tired. You are exhausted. And discipline done with love is not abused. It's parenting. Let's step back for a moment and talk about how much parenting culture has changed over the past few decades. Our parents, my mom, many of them weren't particularly concerned about how we felt about doing chores, sharing with siblings, or sticking to a curfew. We were told what to do and we did it. And there were clear consequences. That style had its flaws, yes, but it also came with structure, predictability, and a deep understanding that boundaries were part of life. Fast forward to today, to now. We have tried to course correct, okay? We have made a conscious shift toward raising emotionally intelligent, self-aware kids. We value empathy, open communication, and strong connection, and that's a good thing. That's progress. But in the swing towards gentle parenting, we may have swung too far with our pendulum, okay? Somewhere along the way, we stopped correcting and started cuddling. Gentle parenting is not the same as permissive parenting. The core of gentle parenting is about respect and understanding, but too often is misunderstood as never saying no, never raising your voice, or avoiding conflict at all costs. But saying no isn't damaging. Enforcing a bedtime isn't traumatizing. Holding firm on limits isn't authoritarian. It's responsibility. We are not doing our kids any favors by shielding them from all forms of discomfort. Life said no to them many times, and life will say no to them many times, in many ways. And our job isn't to prevent that, but to prepare them for it. Because the truth is, empathy doesn't mean enabling. Compassion doesn't mean chaos. Love sometimes looks like limits. Yes, it does. We are not raising adults who melt down at the first sight of adversity. We are raising humans who can hear, know, take deep breath, and keep going. We are raising people who understand that boundaries aren't punishment, they are protection. They are the framework within which trust, respect, and self-discipline can grow. Quite frankly, a no is redirection. A no can actually be your blessings in disguise. So yes, let's keep the empathy. Let's keep listening and connecting. But let's also remember, boundaries aren't walls. They are bridges. And it's through those bridges that our kids learn to walk into adulthood with confidence, resilience, and respect for others and for themselves. So, what do you do when your child tells you you are being abusive? I would say, breathe. Don't spiral. Kids today have access to a lot of language they may not fully understand, quite frankly. That doesn't mean their feelings aren't valid, but it also doesn't mean you are doing something wrong. Here are a few things you can do. Listen calmly. Ask what made you feel that way. It's not about agreeing. It is about opening a dialogue. Explain clearly. Say, discipline isn't punishment. It's preparation. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you grow. And like I said earlier, I tell my kids what I am not teaching you or what you refuse to learn from me. You see that outside there? You see life ahead of you? That will teach you. And that will be your best teacher than I ever could. So keep living and you will learn. Stand firm with love. I love you enough to not let you fail without consequences. You don't have to parent out of guilt. You can parent out of purpose. Yes, you can parent out of purpose. And if you are feeling alone in this, you are not. We are here. I'm here. And other parents are too. There are online community like the MomFlex community. Join us. Join our app. Join MomFlex. Check us out. We're here. We're a single parent community. We're here to help you, to guide you through this process, to support you in any ways that we can possibly. So join MomFlex. Check our application out. Parenting, especially solo parenting, isn't for the faint of heart. You carry the weight of the world in your shoulders, balancing discipline with compassion, structure with flexibility, and boundaries with endless love. Some days, it feels like you are giving everything you have got and still wondering if it's enough. And then, just when you are holding the line, doing what's best for your child, you are hit with accusation and judgment. You are called mean, too strict, maybe even toxic or abusive. And it stinks because if you are trying to raise a whole human being with love, intention, and integrity, that hurts. So here's what I want you to remember. You are not a bad parent because your child doesn't like your rules. You are not abusive because you said no. You are not toxic because you expect respect. You are not tearing them down. You are building them up. You're teaching resilience, accountability, and self-respect. You are not here to be liked 100% of the time. You are here to lead them. You are raising someone, and that's hard. And yes, absolutely, that's worth defending. If this episode resonated with you, share with another parent who might need to hear it. And before I go, I just want you to remember this. Not everything that makes you uncomfortable is abuse. Sometimes it's just parenting, and it's done with love, not harm. And this is for the young adult listening to this episode. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Struggle, Rise and Thrive. Until next time, keep rising, keep thriving. Ciao now.
Every day's a battle, every step a climb, but we're standing tall, we're building our lives. Through the sleepless nights and the endless fight, we rise, we shine, we hold on tight. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. Stories of triumph, stories of grace. Single parents with dreams to chase. They said we'd break, they said we'd fall, but look at us now, we're standing tall. We are more than the labels, more than the pain, breaking the cycle, rewriting the game. Stronger together, we lift, we strive. Single parents, we rise and thrive. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive. Turning our pain into power, we're alive. We see you, you matter, you're strong inside. Together we shine, we rise, we thrive. We push through the stigma, shine, we rise, we thrive. The journey is tough, but we're not alone. In this village we found our home. So lift your head, let your spirit fly. Beyond the struggle, we rise and thrive.